I think we're live. Can you guys, we did it. We did it, you guys. What's up? Hello everybody. Welcome to Status Coup. Like this stream, share this stream. Make sure you're subscribed. Check your subscription because they're always messing with people. My name is Ron Placone. I am subbing in today for Jordan Cheriton. And it's good to see everybody. I don't get to see you as often as I used to, but I still try to see you as often as I can. And I'm seeing you now. And it's good to see everyone. Good to be seen. Welcome to Status Coup. I am Ron Placone. We have a very, very fun show for you today. Let me say hi to some of the early arrivals here. Hello, Henry. Hello, Rolando. Sorry if I stumbled over that there. What's up, Chris? How are you, buddy? Holy ciao. ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está hoy? What's up, Vegan Linux? What's up? What's up, Matt? Jill Stein. Yeah. What's up? What's up, Stevie? I'm looking at your question here. Have I seen commented on Matt? I'm not familiar. Sorry. No. Is that yeah, you'll have to fill me in on that. I'm not familiar with that. Smash the like button, everybody. Smash, 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 smash. Smash it. Tell your friends. Después Fleisch, what's up? Good to see everybody. So here's what we got today. Here's the rundown. First, well, not necessarily first, but here's basically the rundown. Musk might have a place. Elon Musk might have a place in the Trump White House. In fact, that's going to be our poll for the day. Can we do a poll? Colin, the poll is, if Trump is elected president, will he give Musk some kind of gig in the White House? Will that happen? You can word it however you want. But yeah, so that's happening. We're going to watch that video. The oil companies are trying to make it illegal to sue over climate change. A couple states, including California and Massachusetts, are pursuing lawsuits over climate change, and the oil companies are trying to get the courts to say you can't do that. More Perfect Union kind of does a historical deep dive into it. We're going to be diving into that. No pun intended. Also, Biden has an asylum ban that is basically pretty much remnant of Trump's border policy. So there you go. That's a doozy. A little bit of better news at the border, though. Mexico has elected a left-wing climate scientist president. We're going to take a look into that. But first, as the headline indicates, Russiagate, which, boy, Russiagate has certainly been a doozy for the past, has it been 8 years now? Almost 7 going on 8 years. And by the way, to start this out, all of the Russiagate skeptics, all the people who weren't Trumpers, but said, look, this Russiagate thing, this isn't good. It's just sort of a deflection from the Democrats taking blame for their own faults. This is going to be weaponized against the left. This is some weak stuff. We have been vindicated many times over. We said that Russiagate would eventually be weaponized against the left. It has been. We said that Russiagate would lead to nothing as far as Trump is concerned. It didn't. And by the way, simultaneously, while Russiagate was going on for years and years and years, trying to find these points of association, trying to make this vague claim of collusion, simultaneously, Donald Trump was committing financial conflicts of interest every single day he was in the freaking White House. And also simultaneously, he was getting his policies passed. He was getting his judges fast-tracked. He was getting everything he wanted. That's why people were frustrated by Russiagate and frustrated by the theatrical impeachment charades. And we were vindicated because guess what they actually did end up getting Trump on? Financial things that he did. Had nothing to do with the impeachment, had nothing to do with Russiagate. It was financial things that he did and got caught. So anyone who was criticizing Russiagate has been vindicated many times over. But those who parroted it uncritically for many years and counting, they're still going strong and they're promoted probably. And Rachel Maddow is still doing it. She's still doing it. And this video, folks, you got to laugh because otherwise you'd lose your mind. Here's Rachel Maddow now. Let's dive into this video. Status Coup put this out. And boy, is this something. Let's go straight to the video, Colin.
And intelligence services say the Kremlin has funneled hundreds of thousands of euros to dozens of hard-right politicians in a bunch of different European countries, paying them to plant Kremlin propaganda in Western media outlets, boosting pro-Russia candidates in the process.
Officials are saying this. So people are saying this is happening. Friendly reminder before we go further into this, Russia's entire GDP is, I believe, smaller than California. So just so you know, they make it out like Russia is this all-powerful entity that has mastered media manipulation. Meanwhile, Russia, their GDP is nothing to write home about. They have oligarchs just like anywhere else, and some of those shady oligarchs do shady things with Trump and other people, sure. But Russia is not some like untouchable, powerful entity. The real world is not an 80s action movie. And by the way, a lot of the memes that they spread in 2016 was just spam garbage. It was, yeah. Anyway. All right.
Russia is really scaling it up in terms of what they are doing for election interference around the world. And we have an election this year, too. Maybe it is not surprising, but still bracing to open up a Chicago paper today and read this. Russian propaganda push expected in Chicago for Democratic National Convention, experts say.
Okay, so question here, and feel free to weigh in the chat, which, by the way, if you are able, please do leave a super chat. It helps keep this show on the air. So please leave a super chat. I'll get to all of them. But question to you guys. Does she sound like she's not even convinced at this point? I mean, she sounds just tired and like she's not even convinced. Oh, it might sound not surprising, but I opened up in this Chicago paper and it said, like, I feel like she is not buying it anymore. I just feel like she has to say Russia so many times in an hour or she doesn't get her salary. Something like that. She does not even sound convinced by this. But let's continue.
One expert telling the Chicago Sun-Times' Tom Shuba and Frank Main, quote, this is just a target-rich stew for the Russians to try lots of...
I mean, if it's Russia, shouldn't it be a target-rich borscht? Come on! Ha! Sorry.
...things and see what works. Joining us now is reporter Tom Shuba. He's assistant criminal justice editor at the Chicago Sun-Times. Mr. Shuba, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thanks very much for being here.
Hey, Rachel, thanks for having me.
So the experts that you talked to, are they expecting this in the abstract, or are they seeing things happening in the news environment, in the political environment, that make them anticipate this kind of interference with the Democrats?
I think they're anticipating this just generally, right?
Okay. I think they're anticipating this just generally, right? Okay. Sometimes when people go like, when they say right, it's just sort of an aside. It's just something you'll finish a state. You'll say right. And it's kind of a tick, so to speak. I have a bad habit. Sometimes I will say like more than I should, or, you know, I have a bad habit of that. A lot of millennials do. I try to work on it. Some people, their tick is not, you know, or like, it's right. But other people, when they say it more deliberately and it's more spaced out, it's code for they're not really convinced by what they're saying and they need validation. Oh, they're just kind of looking for it more generally, right? That means he has no clue if there's any there. He's just, yeah, they're anticipating something more generally, right? Can you validate me? Because I feel like we're just kind of making this up. I feel like we just created a headline for funsies. The Russians might do something somewhere at some point. This is honestly a play out of the Fox News School of Journalism, where they have headlines that are just made up out of nowhere, but they use qualifiers like some would say that ISIS is doing this. Some would say that the terrorists are in your backyard. Some would say, who are those some? Whoever they felt like. They went down to the editing room like, hey, would you say this? I guess I would. All right, you're some. Way to go. We nailed it. This is the same thing. They're just anticipating some general stuff. They know that Russia is a country and might do stuff in our election. All right. So boy, this is a news network that has more funds and resources in a couple hours than Status Coup has in a year. This is what they do with it. It's great. Makes you sleep at night. Oh wait. Oh crap. I accidentally restarted it. All right. Here, hold on. Let's get back to the spot. Colin, I'm sorry you let me do this and I already fucked it up. All right. So let's get back to right guy here. There he is. Wait, what? There he goes. All right, here we go.
Sometimes, Mr. Schuba, it's a pleasure to have you.
Here, we'll
Pleasure to
listen
have
to
you here.
his
Thanks
gem
very
again.
much for being here.
Hey, Rachel, thanks for having me.
So the experts that you talked to, are they expecting this in the abstract, or are they seeing things happening in the news environment, in the political environment, that make them anticipate this kind of interference with the Democrats?
I think they're anticipating this just generally, right?
I am so inspired. I am convinced. I mean, just generally, there might be a thing, right? I don't know. I'm tired. That's a perfect freeze frame. His eyes are closed. He looks like he just wants a nap. And so does she.
We have the DNC. It's coming to Chicago. There's anticipated to be tons of protests. There's battles over permits already happening. And I think the idea...
How can the DNC not get their freaking proper permits? They have all the money in the world. They're messing up their permits. Jesus.
Is this looks like something that Russia could exploit. And that's what the experts kind of told us here.
We have a new angle here. It turns out that the Democrats do not know how to properly file for permits in Chicago. Make meme of Democrats not knowing how to file permits in Chicago. Rachel Maddow will have something to talk about in the evening.
I know that Democrats have been speaking with confidence, including to you and your colleagues at the Sun-Times, about how they're preparing for everything. They're ready for anything.
But they weren't ready for permits.
There's been a lot of focus, obviously, on the expectation for pro-Palestinian protests and protests against the war in Gaza. But is it your sense, or are you hearing from Democratic officials, from convention planners, that they are sort of on the alert for malign efforts like the ones you and your colleagues described today?
We haven't heard that from, planning officials and Secret Service and Chicago Police Department, the people who are kind of like coming up with the protest zone and, where people can protest around the stadium, the United Center. These were more from us having this idea of saying, hey, this, foreign influence campaign had such a huge impact on the 2016 election. What's happening now? And so we started to do research, and we started to, as news reporters do, pick up the phone and call very smart people who are experts and kind of hear them out. And a lot of what we heard was, yeah, this is like what Max Bergman said, a target-rich stew here, right? We have, protesters,
right.
Pro-Palestinian protesters targeting the president right now. We have, issues with racial justice and things like that the Russians have seized on in the past. And so I think what the experts are saying is this is kind of the ground is set for Russia to come in and do what they've done in the past, which is meddle in the election.
Tom Schuba of the Chicago Sun-Times, thanks for your reporting on this. I'd love to have you back as you continue to track this story. It's a really interesting thing to sort of have on the horizon as that convention approaches. I appreciate it.
This is interesting. Wow. Yeah, you know what? Here's the deal. So I'm one of the few people affiliated with Status Coup who did not go to journalism school. But even despite not going to journalism school, I'm pretty sure coming up with a headline that was based on an idea. I had an idea that Russia might do something at some point, and then going on the phone talking to experts, pretty random there. He didn't volunteer who he talked to. Who'd you talk to? Who are these experts? What are their qualifications? What are they up to? What did they say to you exactly? Did you get any quotes? No, but I was on the phone with some experts. Trust me, these were experts on the area of Russia might do something somewhere at some point, and the internet might be involved. And they said, blah, 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 blah.
The Democrats do not.
I mean, this is comically absurd. And Rachel Maddow's trying. I mean, whenever you have the qualifier of like, oh yeah, this is interesting, it's like she was trying to convince her viewers I promise you, this is interesting. I like how they glossed over. There's going to be some pro-Palestinian protesters. Hey, there's going to be people in the United States protesting the genocide that their tax dollars are funding. There's Americans all over the country who are tired of their tax dollars going to endless war, who are tired of the war economy, who are tired of the endless war in Russia, Ukraine, who are tired of the genocide going on in Israel, Palestine, and are appalled by what is happening in Gaza. And these are people of all political stripes in the United States. And these are people of all different backgrounds. And guess what? Some of the leading voices in this fight are Jewish voices. They're Jewish voices for peace, saying, not in our name. So your incredibly lazy, false, and quite frankly, insulting anti-Semitic deflection is not working anymore. People are seeing through it. She just glossed over that. It was like, yeah, but so Russia, you talk to some experts, there's internet connections in Russia. Am I right? Huh? Man. And this is also a security blanket that if the Democrats lose, they got the scapegoat primed and ready. If Joe Biden loses, which he might, Joe Biden might lose. It is there. I went with see, but it is too early, in my opinion, to be making actual predictions. But I've been saying this for a while now. I'll say it again. I think if the election were held right now, just election held, I think Trump wins. Just objectively speaking, I think Trump wins. If the election were held in November, like it's going to be, too early to say. But if it were held right now, I think Trump wins. I think that Biden and the Democrats are doing everything in their power to frickin' lose. And we're going to go through some of that today. And I'll tell you what, and this is another thing that I want to mention before we get off this topic. Trump, the guilty verdict for Trump, I think, has really ignited his base, and they are really, really ticked off. Now, going bigger picture here, I want to bring up another aside on all of this. Like I said, people who were skeptical of Russiagate and skeptical of the impeachment theater show have been vindicated many times over. Why? Because when we said Russiagate would be used against the left, we were right. When we said that Russiagate wasn't going to lead to anything, we were right. When we said that the impeachment charade wasn't going to lead to anything, we were right. Simultaneously, they were giving Trump everything he wanted politically. They were impeaching him while letting him confirm another Supreme Court justice. That's what was going on, which made me think it's all just a freaking show. And simultaneously, he was committing financial conflicts of interest with his businesses in the White House every single freaking day. They didn't look at that in the impeachment charades. Why? Because if they did, they would have to look at all the other things that politicians do. They didn't want to do that. So they brought the focus elsewhere. And now they got Trump on a financial conflict. That's what they got him on. And I don't think it's going to, I think he gets sentenced in July. I don't think it's going to lead to a whole lot. Probably just a fine or a slap on the wrist. He'll still be able to run for president. We all know that. But here's what's interesting. I want to mention this as an aside. I am totally fine that they got Trump on a financial thing. I'm totally cool with it. I made jokes about it. I laughed about it. Why wouldn't you? And I'll say this. Trump derangement syndrome is annoying, and it's been annoying for 7 years. Trump derangement syndrome, of course, is thinking that everything was hunky-dory until Trump showed up, as opposed to, no, things weren't hunky-dory, and that's why we got Trump. It's an annoying point of view. Totally. And it's annoying when people sanitize Joe Biden because of Trump. That's annoying. You know what else is annoying, though? What I like to call Trump delusion syndrome. That's also annoying. What is that? That's the other extreme. When you pretend like Trump is something he isn't, and you sanitize Trump because you want to sound contrarian online or you dislike Joe Biden. It's very possible that neither one of them are good guys because they're not, and neither one of them should be sanitized because they shouldn't. So Trump delusion syndrome is also annoying. And when I posted about, how the financial crimes and stuff like that, and I made jokes about it, some people accused me of having Trump derangement syndrome, which is ridiculous. And some people, went on this big rampage about Trump. And here's my response to all that. If Nancy Pelosi was busted tomorrow for insider trading and held to account, I'd be happy about it. If Barack Obama was held to account for what he did in Flint, I'd be happy about it. Or what he did with his library, displacing a bunch of people in Chicago, I'd be happy about it. If George Bush and Dick Cheney were put in jail for the rest of their lives for war crimes, I'd be happy about it. So, all these politicians who commit these white-collar crimes or worse and commit all these conflicts of interest, of course, not all of them are going to be held to justice, but if any of them were, I'd be happy about it. Regardless of what Wall Street sponsored team they play for, Wall Street R or Wall Street D. So if it happens to Donald Trump, why wouldn't I be happy about it? I would be. I was. That's called consistency. And if you would be happy about everything I just mentioned, except for Trump, you got to ask yourself, why is that? Why would you be happy about George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, but you wouldn't be happy about Donald Trump, who did commit those financial conflicts of interest? The receipts are there. He did all that. It went far beyond Stormy Daniels and hush money. That was just one of many things. But why wouldn't you be happy about that? If the red hat fits, frickin' wear it. So moving on, that was some really good comedy there by Rachel Maddow and our new friend in Chicago. But let's go to the next story, which is Elon Musk. Man, all the winners here. So Elon Musk, this is another thing that our corporate media spends time talking about. Will Elon Musk get a gig or not? Should Trump become president? Let's go ahead and watch this video, Colin.
Street Journal detailing the growing alliance between former President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Join us right now on the set, Wall Street Journal reporter Emily Glazer, who co-authored that story. It has gone viral. Everybody's talking about it. Tell us what you know about what you think is really happening here in terms of this relationship and whether he's going to have this true special advisory role. How much of that is Elon Musk wanting that in your mind, or how much of that is a Donald Trump and Ike Perlmutter and Nelson Peltz and Carl Icahn and that whole troop wanting that?
Well, Andrew, it's an election year, so that means alliances get reformed or come together when people want something. And so we know that Donald Trump has dangled this special advisor role to Elon Musk. It could be around the economy. It can be around border security, both issues that Elon has been extremely vocal about. We know they talked about it. We know they talked about it at Nelson Peltz's oceanfront estate in Palm Beach back in March. And while it isn't fully hammered out yet, it's something that could happen should Trump win the presidency.
So here's the question about how much of this was a just thrown out idea. How much of this was discussed prior to the breakfast? I'm just trying to understand whether this was just a sort of random thought that Donald Trump threw out there, whether this was something that Ike threw out there, this was something that Nelson Peltz said, hey, Donald, you should make him the special advisor, and that's what we're talking about, or we're talking about something much more serious?
So obviously we can't reveal our sources, but the Wall Street Journal wouldn't write an article if we didn't think it was something legitimate that was there. With any of these things, just like if a deal might be talked about, there's a sense that it may not fully materialize. And also Donald has to win the presidency first. But it was not just a random aside. This is something that they talked about, Trump and Musk. It wasn't just something someone else threw out there.
Right.
They talked about where Musk could have influence. That could be around border security. It wasn't just like, oh, special advisor, go take this and let's all be happy and sing Kumbaya together. So we know that there were discussions about it. We know it's still out there as a possibility.
Right. And what do we think from the Elon Musk side? So I gather, I can see why Donald Trump would like this to be out there. Elon Musk has been vociferous, obviously, in his frustrations, let's say, with President Biden, but has been unwilling, at least so far, to endorse a candidate, has said that he may not endorse a candidate, has been kind of reluctant to do that. This would be, I mean, this unto itself is almost a stealth endorsement. The story reads like a stealth endorsement.
So he has not gone so far as endorsing Donald Trump, you are right. However, Elon Musk is part of this influence campaign that we heard about, where he is co-hosting along with Nelson Peltz, David Sachs, part of the PayPal mafia, these dinners.
Let me ask you about this. How much do you think this is driven by Nelson Peltz, David Sachs, and that troupe that are having these dinners, and Elon, you know, is being asked to come to them? And how much of this is being driven by Elon Musk saying, hey, David Sachs and Nelson Peltz, I want you to set up this dinner, and I'm going to co-host it, and you guys are going to show up to my dinner. Do you see that?
Yeah,
there's a big difference, and I think people need to understand what's going on here.
I think that's a fair point. If Elon had not co-hosted the April dinner with David Sachs atop the Hollywood Hills, if he were just a random guest, I see your point, and that might have been the case at this March breakfast gathering in Palm Beach, where he brought his son. Barron Trump was there. Nelson Peltz's son was there. But the fact that Elon co-hosted the April gathering, to me, shows a marked difference.
They just spent 2 minutes talking about a frickin' dinner. They spent like 2 or 3 minutes, however long that frickin' clip was, just babbling about a private dinner between a bunch of rich people. Doesn't it frighten you what passes for thought leadership in the United States? I've been thinking about that a lot as of recent. The fact that Elon Musk is considered a thought leader in the United States, Donald Trump, it's absolutely revolting and disgusting what passes for thought leadership. Bill Maher, Rachel Maddow, these are all just very surface level, reactionary, half-baked politics, and it's absolute nonsense. And this is what's guiding our politics in the United States. This is what frames the Overton window. The Overton window being the appropriate mode of political conversation. And here in the United States, our Overton window is so far to the right, they had to buy a new freaking camera. And it's further right now than it was 40 years ago in many ways. And man, they just spent like 3 minutes. Would Elon Musk get an appointment? And it should bother everybody that these are our freaking thought leaders. These are our freaking thought leaders. What business does Elon Musk have with a White House appointment? What would he do? What would he be part of? He has his businesses. Isn't that enough? Why does he need to? Why would Donald Trump consider it? By the way, this is just speculation about a bunch of rich people at a dinner. They spent 2.5 minutes talking about this. I think the guy was pushing to fill time because he goes, well, let me ask you this. Was this before or after the salad was served? Was this look, the Wall Street Journal would not just publish some speculation unless, of course, it's about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq or something like that. But otherwise, they would not publish just mere speculation. This is a big deal. Trust me. This is what your corporate media does with all their resources. Here at Status Coup, we actually go on the ground and do journalism more so than the corporate media does. And we have a fraction of 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 the resources they do. But they spend their time babbling about this stuff. They spend their time talking about Elon Musk and a bunch of rich people at a dinner. Or Trump and a bunch of rich people at a dinner talking about who he might appoint if he wins an election. They spend their time making Russiagate fan fiction with Rachel Maddow and some guy from Chicago. This is what they do with their limitless resources. So if you realize the crisis that journalism is in this country, please, I'm begging you, please, if you are able, become a member here at Status Coup. You can go to statuscoup.com/join. $5 a month, starts at $5 a month, which is 16 cents a day. If you can swing it, I know times are tough. And if you can't swing it, totally get it. But if you can, if you got that to spare, know that your support is going to on-the-ground journalism that the corporate media is failing at miserably. It's going to putting Status Lou on the ground in East Palestine. It's putting Jordan on the ground in Flint. It's putting Tina on the ground at protests and Stop Cop City. Status Coup was the only outlet that was at the UAW strike every single frickin' day. It was the only outlet that didn't let up on the East Palestine story. It's the only outlet that's not letting up on Flint. It's telling the stories of labor, telling the stories of climate in a way no other outlet is. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I mean, I've said that before, but I feel like it's worth repeating. You know, a couple years ago, after I quit the Jimmy Dore show, I really wanted nothing to do with the YouTube space at all. I thought it was just a done thing for me, and I planned on just doing something totally different. There was a pandemic, blah, blah, blah. But when Jordan called me about doing stuff at Status Coup, you know, their commitment to firsthand journalism made me want to do stuff with them. So there you go. Yeah. So if you are able, statuscoup.com/join. And there's a members call this Thursday, y'all. Members call this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, right, Colin? That's the time. 7:30 Eastern.
Correct.
Yes. You should put that on the flyer.
Yeah, I agree.
But folks, it's 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern time, Thursday night. We'll make sure everyone knows the time, but there is a member phone call. I know that there were a couple issues. Colin had a power issue, and then Jordan hasn't had an issue, so it's been a little delayed, but it's happening this Thursday at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Status Coup members call, and you can join that member call if you become a member today. statuscoup.com/join. $5 a month. If you can swing it, $10 a month. But you know, that ends up being 16 cents a day. If you're in a spot where you're like, you know what, I can spare 16 cents a day, I can do that. 16 cents a day. That's all it takes. statuscoup.com/join. And you can be part of the members call this Thursday, and you get all kinds of other cool perks as well. You get behind the scenes videos. I know me and Johnny F, we made some behind the scenes videos when we were at the UAW strike throughout the Midwest. We were in Chicago, we were in Detroit, all kinds of fun stuff. statuscoup.com/join. Because the United States needs journalism. And talking about a bunch of rich people at a dinner babbling about Elon Musk and Russiagate fan fiction, that doesn't really cut it. That's why outlets like this need to exist. So help us do on-the-ground journalism. So we're going to go over to climate and More Perfect Union. Let's go to the thread, Colin. More Perfect Union reported on this. So oil companies, Big Oil is asking the Supreme Court to block climate change lawsuits. Right now, dozens of major lawsuits are trying to hold the fossil fuel industry liable for billions in climate damages, but oil execs are asking the court to put a stop to them. Let's go to the video. We're not going to watch the whole thing because it's 15 minutes long, but down in the thread they're calling, there's a video that More Perfect Union did. Let's just watch a little bit of it, but we're not gonna watch the whole thing, but we'll watch like maybe like a minute or something.
Is not a tragedy. Climate change is a crime against humanity committed on the part of these oil companies.
These reports are pretty scary, but are they true?
Has there actually been any global warming?
All of us would like to believe that corporations do the right thing. They're not intentionally deceiving us or destroying the world.
If we all work toward the same goal, I believe we can change the perceptions of the American people about energy.
We need you to be an important part of it. Together, we can make a difference.
Did we aggressively fight against some of the science? Yes.
For decades, fossil fuel companies have coordinated what is arguably the most consequential deception campaign in history. And so far, they've gotten away with it.
We have a mountain of evidence showing that they knew for decades exactly where we'd be today and lied about it time and time again.
The state of California is suing Big Oil in one of the most significant legal challenges the industry has ever faced.
The financial liability that the companies could face is, potentially existential. It's a huge threat to the industry, and they know it.
This lawsuit tells a story about how some of the biggest companies in the world lied to protect themselves. But it also does something much bigger. For the first time in history, it could actually force them to pay for the damage.
All right, so we'll stop there. So that's just the gist of it. Let's go ahead and pull up the LA Times article now to dive into some of the specifics. So the oil industry asked the Supreme Court to block climate change lawsuit from California and other states. This is from the LA Times. Oil and gas companies are asking the Supreme Court to block dozens of high-powered lawsuits from California to Massachusetts, seeking to hold the industry liable for billions of dollars in costs related to climate change. They are urging the justices to intervene now and rule that climate change is a global phenomenon and a matter for federal law, not one suited to state-by-state claims. Wow, they're really... They have no shame. Just no shame at all. The stakes could not be higher, companies said in an appeal that comes before the court on Thursday. Over 24 cases have been filed by various states and municipalities across the country seeking to impose untold damages on energy companies and attempting to assert control over the nation's energy policies. This court should put a stop to it. Don't let them hurt our money. We're just the poor energy companies exploiting humans and destroying the climate for our own profits. The climate change lawsuits that issued are patterned after the successful mass lawsuits filed by states and others against the tobacco industry over cigarettes and the pharmaceutical industry over opioids. So last September, California Governor Gavin Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta sounded the same theme when they filed a lawsuit in San Francisco County Superior Court against 5 of the largest oil and gas companies: ExxonMobil, Shell, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, and BP. All right. So it's the lawsuits for a decades-long campaign of deception that created climate-related harms in California. Here's a quote. For more than 50 years, big oil has been lying to us, covering up the fact that they've long known how dangerous the fossil fuel industries they produce are for our planet, said Newsom, who up until recently was handing out fracking permits like they were candy. Bonta said the oil and gas companies have privately known the truth for decades, that the burning of fossil fuels leads to climate change. This is true, but have fed us lies and mistruths to further their record-breaking profits. Also true, at the expense of our environment. It is time they pay to abate the harm they cause. Well, I hope this goes somewhere. I really do hope this goes somewhere. I hope the Supreme Court does not side with the oil companies, obviously. But, you know, hopefully this is the start of something bigger, because when it comes to climate change, this is a dire situation. We are in emergency mode. And when it comes to climate change, the area where it's hard not to feel a little helpless is there's the reality that there's a top bottom need here when it comes to climate change. We can do things on the micro level. Composting is great. Recycling is great. Community gardens are great. Mutual aid is great. Localizing our food economy. Those are all super important things that matter a lot more than people realize. Super important. But even still, at the end of the day, if there's not some top-bottom policy that completely reinvents our supply chain, completely reinvents our logistical lives, we're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. We have to get off fossil fuels completely. Full stop, done. And we can do it. A lot of people don't look at climate change from the standpoint of an opportunity. It's an opportunity to build a better society. It's an opportunity to build a better world where we have more localized means of food, more localized means of education, which is better for community. It's better for health. And simultaneously, we can have a logistics chain that's not reliant on fossil fuels. There are 11 alternative modes that are out there. There is no doubt in my mind that one of them will be successful on a mass scale, at least. The fossil fuel-less plane has already flown. They've already flown a plane without any fossil fuels. It's been done already. So these people who make it out like we can never get off of fossil fuels, that we've peaked as a human species technologically, there's no science supporting that, and there's no reason to feel that way unless you're just being short-sighted. And this person has existed all through history, by the way. When the printing press was invented, there were people saying it would never work and it'll be terrible. When the combustion engine was invented, there were people who were against it. When the cars were invented, people were saying, well, that doesn't look like a horse to me. Hell, when the wheel was invented, I'm sure there were people out there who were saying, that doesn't look like my foot, and my foot was made by God. Are you saying you're smarter than God? This wheel thing will never work. There were people who were skeptical about fire. You get the frickin' idea. This idea that we peaked at fossil fuels, no evidence supporting it. All right. So, yeah. This is funny. Thank you for this, Henry. When the first hot dog was made, people said it would never catch on. Is that true, or did you just make, I mean, that's funny either way, but is there a story behind that? You know what? Here's a fun one. Apparently, I think this is kind of like a folklore tale, but apparently the way the ice cream cone was invented was there was a guy selling ice cream. It was at a carnival many, many years ago, somewhere in the US. And there was a guy, Henry just made it up. Well, it's still funny. There was a guy selling ice cream just in cups, you got a cup of ice cream, and a guy selling waffles. And the guy was selling waffles, the other guy was selling ice cream, and eventually the ice cream guy ran out of cups, and it was a really hot day, and people still wanted their frickin' ice cream. So the waffle guy was like, maybe I can help you out. And they kept trying to get the ice cream on the waffle. It wasn't making sense. It wasn't adding up. So finally, they did this thing where they put it in a cone form, and I guess they like cooked it to where it hardened. And then that was how the ice cream cone was invented. I have a feeling this is a wise tale, but this story was told when I was in grade school. Because here's the deal. If there's any truth to that, why wouldn't they have just made the waffle ice cream sandwich, something that still has stood the test of time? Why wouldn't they have been like, oh, throw some ice cream in the middle, we'll make a sandwich? That would have been the easiest solution. Maybe it was so hot, the ice cream melted right away. I don't know. All right, that was aside. I did not just make that up. That's like you could look it up online. It is a wise tale that's out there. I first heard it in grade school. They told us. Now, I don't know if there's any truth to it or if it was just sort of a metaphor for trying to problem solve. You know what I mean? Now, I know that ice cream floats were invented somewhere in Detroit. The root beer float was invented in Detroit, and it was just people were hot. They were looking for a different way to eat ice cream, and some guy made the root beer float, and then that same guy just started making floats with everything. There was the Purple Cow, which was a grape soda with ice cream. There was the Black Cow, which I think is Coca-Cola. And then there was, of course, the root beer float, which is really stood, but they were making floats with all kinds of stuff back in the day, and it all started in Detroit. I'm pretty sure that's actually legit. The waffle story, I feel like there's some holes in the waffle story. Anyway, but hopefully there's something to this lawsuit. Hopefully this lawsuit is the lawsuit is the catalyst for a complete change in our logistics system, and we reach a new ice cream cone renaissance as a society. You know what I mean? That's my hope. All right, let's go to, dare I say, a little bit of good news. And by the way, guys, please, if you can, leave some super chats. I'll get to all the super chats at the end of the show. I know we got some. I want to chat with you guys. We'll also visit our poll before we sign out here. So please do leave some stuff. And by the way, for those of you just tuning in or tuning in late, please do smash the like button. Smash it up. There are 487 people watching right now. Do we have 487 likes? I don't know because I can't see it in real time, but I hope we do. Smash the like button. Smash it up. Tell a friend. You know. Yeah. All right. Let's go to a little bit of interesting / good news / I feel like they're misleading the people probably on purpose a little bit. Mexico has elected a leftist president. Let's go to the AP story first. So Mexico has elected an AP. Mexico has elected a leftist president who's a scientist. All right, so this is from the AP. A scientist, a leftist, and a former Mexico City mayor. Who is Claudia Sheinbaum? I might be mispronouncing that. I feel like they just answered it. Isn't that a weird choice of a headline? They ask a question, then they answer a question, then they ask it. Who is she? Well, I think you told us. A scientist, a leftist, and a former Mexico City mayor, among other things. Maybe she's also a poet. Maybe she's also an enthusiast for different things. I don't know. Claudia Sheinbaum, who will be Mexico's first woman leader in the nation's more than 200 years of independence. By the way, the United States hasn't had that leader yet. I like how they throw a little shade like, well, it's been over 200 years. They finally have a woman leader. Well, we still haven't. We still have not had a woman president, just for the record. Captured the presidency. The 61-year-old former Mexico City mayor and lifelong leftist ran a disciplined campaign, capitalizing on her predecessor's popularity before emerging victorious in Sunday's vote. All right. While she hewed close to Lopez Obrador politically and shares many of his ideas about the government's role in addressing inequality, she is viewed as less combative and more data-driven. Sheinbaum's background is in science. Imagine that. She has a PhD in energy engineering. Her brother is a physicist. She believes in science. That's wow. All things that we can't ask for from our politicians. Observers say that grounding showed itself in Sheinbaum's action as mayor during the COVID pandemic, when her city of some 9 million people took a different approach. While the federal government was downplaying the importance of testing, Mexico City expanded its testing regimen. Sheinbaum set limits on businesses' hours and capacity when the virus was rapidly spreading, even though Lopez Obrador wanted to avoid any measures that would hurt the economy. So, in other words, she was looking after public health before economics. And she publicly wore protective masks and urged social distancing while the president was still lunging into crowds. So she knew early on this was going to be pretty bad. Mexico's persistently high levels of violence will be one of her most immediate challenges after she takes office. On the campaign trail, she said little more than she would expand the quasi-military National Guard created by Lopez Obrador. I like how they're throwing shade at her. Let it be clear, it doesn't mean an iron fist, wars, or authoritarianism, she said. We will promote a strategy of addressing the causes and continuing moving towards zero impunity. For me, being from the left has to do with that, guaranteeing the minimum rights to all residents. So she's openly saying she's on the left. So there you go. That's what's happening in Mexico. Meanwhile, here in the United States, you're going to have two choices coming up in 2024, and they're both to the right of Reagan. So they're electing science leftists in Mexico. Here in the U.S., we have two geriatric old racist dudes to the right of Reagan. Now, here's something else the corporate media is doing to throw a little bit of deception in here. We're going to go to this Yahoo piece. Mexico elects first female president following deadliest election campaign in country's modern history. Here's what to know. Claudia Sheinbaum was elected the country's first female president after a bloody election campaign that saw 37 candidates assassinated. Now, a bunch of people saw this headline on social media. They screenshot it, they posted it, and they were operating under the guise that 37 candidates were trying to run for president and they all got assassinated, and then she got the gig. That is not accurate. That is not what happened. What did happen is that there were elections going on in Mexico, and over 20,000 different positions were open. These were mayorships. These were council seats. These were seats on different levels of government throughout the entire country. And yes, 37 people were killed, which I'm not downplaying that. I'm just saying the way it was framed by our media was misleading, and I would argue probably misleading on purpose to try to downplay the significance of a leftist getting into power. Because you know how our corporate media is. They uphold capitalism, and whenever there's any type of left-wing movement or socialist movement elsewhere in North America especially, they try to downplay it and they try to crush it. That's what happens. So they tried to make it seem, and a bunch of people ran with this. A bunch of people on Twitter, I'm sure you saw it on Twitter today. Some of you may have even thought that that was the actual story, that there were 37 people that ran for president. They all got killed. That's not what happened. Again, it was 37 different people. Now, why did they get killed? Mostly likely, that was poor, but the most likely scenario is that it had something to do with the cartel, because the cartel does have political interest. And so those 37 people, again, 20,000 openings. So those 37 people were likely 37 different people running for different things that the cartel didn't like in any situation. So again, I'm not trying to downplay this. Believe it is terrible that 37 people lost their lives because they ran for office. That is terrible. That is terrible. That needs to be addressed. I hope the people responsible are brought to justice. That is not okay in any way, shape, or form. So don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying this at all. I'm just saying the way it was framed was meant in a way to try to, I think, disregard the victory of this leftist scientist. Because they want you to think, oh, a bunch of 37 people got killed who were trying to be president. So maybe she's not what people think. That's what they were trying to do. So that's a little deception. That was a little deception. And you saw it in various capacities. And there's people on Twitter who still believe that. They're repeating that. I've even corrected a couple people I knew. I don't think they were doing it to be bad people. They honestly thought that was the story because it's being framed that way. I've even tweeted under people I know, and I'm like, no, it wasn't 37 people running for president. It was 37 people running for different office. There were over 20,000 positions open. I'm not saying that's not terrible. Of course it's terrible, but it wasn't 37 people running for president. That's not what happened. So there you go there. And it's interesting. I don't know a whole lot about her other than what's been surfaced so far. But I'm definitely intrigued and, dare I say, cautiously optimistic that she is what she appears to be based on her past in Mexico City and based on the reports so far. It seems that way. Based on the fact that the corporate media in the U.S. is already subtly smearing her, that's a good indication. When they're smearing you, it means you might be doing something right. So we'll keep an eye on this. Another thing I'll say on this, I was hoping to be joined by the Artsy Marxist. Some of you might know the Artsy Marxist. They do a Twitch stream, and they're a brilliant, brilliant artist. They're also a Marxist, and they live in Mexico. So I was hoping they were going to be able to join me today. We were going to do a segment together, and then then Jordan asked me if I could fill in today, so I told him yes. So I reached out to them, and I said, hey, I'm actually hosting the stream today. Can you come on for the stream? They weren't able to make it for the stream, but I am hoping to do a segment with them later this week at some point. It'll be a pre-recorded segment, but it'll be right here on Status Coup, where I'm going to get a firsthand account of the Mexican, the elections in Mexico, because they live in Mexico, so they were there for the election. So I really look forward to talking to them about it more in depthly and getting a firsthand account from someone who is there in Mexico. All right, there we go. So that is that's that. We're going to keep an eye on it. I'm going to go to the super chat in just a bit. Before I do, I will make this announcement. Guys, this Saturday, are you in Southern California? This Saturday is the last domestic screening of my movie Left at Wall. There's going to be a short stand-up show featuring myself, Andrew Saxena, and Sarah Kate Godot, who are members of the cast at Left at Wall. We're going to be doing a short stand-up show to open tonight. Then we're going to be doing a screening of the film. And then there's going to be a Q&A after. Idlewild, California is a little mountain town, just a little bit outside of Los Angeles. It's about an hour outside of Los Angeles, but it's its own little town. It's its own scene. It's a really cool place. They have a wonderful theater there called the Rustic Theater that I like a lot. We're going to be there this Saturday night, June 8th. You can get tickets and information at ronplacone.com. Please, there's been Status Coup fam at every show I've done the past 2 years. Every show I've done, pretty much as long as I've been with Status Coup, because when I first came on board with Status Coup, there was a pandemic going on. So I wasn't touring at all. Since I've been with Status Coup, there have been Status Coup fam at every show I've done, including Edinburgh, Scotland. So please, Idlewild, California, don't let me down. I want to see some Status Coup fam there. Maybe you want to make a night of it. Maybe you want to make a weekend out of it. Maybe you want to make the trip from LA or elsewhere in Southern California. ronplacone.com for tickets. June 8th starts at 7:30, Idlewild, California. Again, ronplacone.com for those tickets. And then I'll be having some UK announcements here soon. And I'll also be having some general announcements with the movie here in the coming months, because after this screening, we're going to be moving on to the next steps of the movie. And I can't share anything quite yet, but I will have some pretty awesome announcements soon. Oh, and by the way, the movie has delayed the finale of Frank Azzurri, but we will have the finale of Frank Azzurri out for you very, very soon. All right. So, Tony D, what's up, my friend? I hope all is well with you. Ron, great to see you. Seeing quotation, do you believe Trump verdict will lead to a civil war? Excited for the members call. Oh boy, that's I think that if it impacted his ability to run for president, it could, honestly. It won't do that, so I don't think we have to worry about that. I hope not, at least. But yeah, his base. I mean, I honestly think that this verdict, which again, I'm glad he was held to account for his financial crimes, at least to some extent. I have a feeling it's not going to lead to much as far as sentencing goes. I have a feeling it'll just be a slap on the wrist. But I do think politically overall, this will help him. I think if it happened closer to November, it would have sealed his victory because his base is really pissed off and really worked up right now. And nobody's excited about frickin' Biden. And, you know, the pissed off, excited base usually wins. So we'll see. I do think it could help him politically. Now, granted, November's still a long way off. But yeah. All right. So I guess to make a long answer longer, I don't think it will. The only way I think it would is if it somehow impeded on his ability to run for president, and it's not going to. In fact, if anything, I think it'll help him. Desbush Fleisch, what's up? Maybe Musk wants into the White House to escape some business fraud charges, similar to the ones that finished the Nikola CEO or Elizabeth Holmes. Yeah, totally. Maybe, or maybe he just wants some time off of Twitter. Who knows? What's up, Dave L? We're all going to have to listen to the inevitable comparison of Trump to Debs. Oh, God. What? It sucks. Group hug, everybody. Eugene, who is comparing Donald Trump to? Oh, because he got in trouble. Oh, my God. Oh, that is so freaking painful. Oh, Dave. I'm not trying to shoot the messenger here, Dave. It's not your fault, but holy shit, that is just so depressing to even read. You know what? I mean, have you seen people comparing Trump to Assange? That is so offensive on so many levels. Comparing Donald Trump, a guy, yeah, they're gonna compare him to Eugene Debs. Have you seen any of that already? It's so, again, Trump derangement syndrome is annoying, but Trump delusion syndrome also annoying. Also annoying. We don't disagree on how terrible Joe Biden is. We all know how terrible Joe Biden is. Joe Biden is terrible, but to make it out like Trump would be less of an authoritarian when he put this country under martial law, to make it out like Trump would be better when it comes to the genocide in Gaza, when he has criticized Biden for not being hawkish enough. Donald Trump said Biden should be more hawkish. I mean, it's just, you know, if you're going to try to convince yourself that Donald Trump's some kind of an anti-war vote, you're in fantasy land. You're making fan fiction. And guess what? If you want to vote for an actual anti-war person, there's other options on your ballot that aren't Donald Trump, that aren't Joe Biden, that aren't RFK. So, I mean, if you really want to take a stand there, vote for someone like that. Vote for Jill Stein. Vote for Cornel West. Vote for Claudia on the socialist ticket. But don't, I got to do the anti-war thing and vote for Donald Trump. Come on. You're in a dream world. So, yeah. And Dave, I just saw in the chat, you said you've already seen that. Someone comparing Donald Trump to Eugene Debs. Eugene Debs, a freaking labor and movement leader who did spend 2 years in office. And he got put in jail. I mean, he got in trouble for his activism. He didn't get in trouble for cheating on his finances. That's what Trump got in trouble for. And by the way, the story Daniel's hush money, that's like the tip of the iceberg of what that guy did every day when he was in frickin' office. So you're going to piss off all the wrong people? Yeah, man, they're going to get you on something. It's just so delusional. It's just so, and you see it on both sides, by the way. I mean, there's other people, they completely sanitize Biden because, they hate Trump so much. And, as a leftist, you just look around at all this and you feel very politically homeless. You feel very politically homeless and you feel, I mean, did anyone else feel this way watching Tony Fauci, Dr. Fauci, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and think, how disgusting is this that these are thought leaders in the United States? I mean, I tweeted about that. Marjorie Taylor Greene is completely disgusting at every level. The fact that she's an elected official is frightening. She is just a low information troll. But Dr. Fauci has been terrible his entire career. That guy puts capitalism first. Public health is an afterthought. He's helped carry that out his entire freaking career. He is maybe the worst communicator I have ever seen. I think that Dr. Fauci, and he's been this way the entire freaking time. If you ask Dr. Fauci, what did you have for breakfast this morning? He would say, what does the American public want me to have for breakfast? He is the worst communicator on everything. Even when he's actually in the right, his communication is so terrible that you just want to scream. Even when he was talking about just stuff during the pandemic, he can't explain to regular people just how a freaking virus evolves. Like, he just can't do it. And he's got to be a million times smarter than most people, right? I mean, he should be, but he can't explain. Here's how a virus evolves. By the way, not a scientist. A virus evolves when it has a host that gives it a chance to evolve. So the way vaccines are supposed to work is the virus tries to get a human host and it's blocked. The vaccine blocks it. So the virus doesn't have a human host. But if the virus penetrates anyway, well, then the virus might mutate. So because the virus mutates, it's a different virus now, which means it might evade a vaccine. That's how it works. That's how viruses evolve. That's why, that's why there's a different flu shot every year. It's trying to follow the strains. That's why the COVID vaccine is supposed to evolve. That's just how it works. That's how viruses work. Like, this is not super I just explained it. It's not that hard. Viruses don't have brains. Viruses can't be like, there's a vaccine. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grow. I'm going to mutate. I'm going to do this. Viruses don't have brains to do that. It's just trying to survive. So it just evolves by chance when it has a host. I mean, how is that hard to explain? But Fauci couldn't explain that. He goes, well, in time, blah, 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 blah. Like, he couldn't explain that to regular people. Like, it's unbelievable. So I can't imagine watching that and rooting for either one of them. Yet you're supposed to pick a tribe. And here, I mean, I feel like when I'm with you guys, I feel like I'm not the only one who feels tribeless. There's other people who are like, yeah, we feel that way too. And it's so easy to feel tribeless all the time. Yeah. So let's see here. Chris Garrett, what's up? Ron Placone, hopefully you'll be able to make the members call. Yeah, I'm going to try. I can't promise. I got a lot going on because I'm getting ready to go out of town this weekend. But yeah, I will definitely try to be on the members call or to be on a call at some point in time soon. But folks, thank you so much. Let me go over to the Rockfin. We got some Rockfin action. Pat Anderson, what's up? Thank you very much for the $5 tip on Rockfin. And Greg, thank you very much for the $25 tip on Rockfin. Thank you so much for that. Good luck. Appreciate all the hard work and great reporting you all do. Thank you so much for that. That's much appreciated. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, what's up, Colin?
Oh, I'll wait. I was going to give you the poll results.
Oh, yeah. No, go ahead. Now it's cool. I was just going to make another pitch for membership. I was just going to tell people, look, please, there's a members call this Thursday. If you are able, please do call. Please do call and please do join statuscoup.com/join for $5 a month, which is 16 cents a day. You can become a member at Status Coup, and you get a members call. You get all kinds of cool perks, and you're helping independent journalism continue. So what's up with the poll, man? What'd we do?
The question: if Trump is elected, will Musk get a gig in the White House? Out of 119 votes, we have 59% say yes and 40% say no.
I feel like I'm in the majority here. I say yes. I mean, they're buddies. He likes the clout of it all. I feel like he would. Although they had a tiff recently, didn't they?
Oh, they're always going to have a tiff, I feel like, with.
Did they resolve it or no? Maybe I'm speaking out of school here. They had a tiff recently because Donald Trump talked smack on his cars. He's like, Elon Musk always wants me to help with his cars that don't work or something like that. They did.
Right.
Did they resolve it or no?
I guess they had that dinner or whatever. What was it, a week ago? So maybe.
All right. So you know what? Maybe I'm gonna go no here and be with the lesser the non-victors of the poll. Not that it's a competition. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with no. I feel like they have butted heads in the past, and Trump is a full-blown narcissist. Like he just is. He's a dictionary narcissist, and I'd imagine Elon Musk is too. And so I feel like if they butted heads in the past, they're going to again. He won't give him a gig in the White House, and if he does, it'll be short-lived because they'll eventually butt heads and part ways. That's why I mean Trump went through cabinet members and appointees. He went through them like pairs of socks because he was just so hard to get along with. Now, there are people who like to make political fan fiction, and they're going, it's because he was exposing the truth. It was because he was exposing the truth. No, it's because he's a narcissist, okay? It's because he's a narcissist, and other people didn't like him. Do some bad people not like Trump? Yeah, but sometimes two bad people cannot like each other. Doesn't make either one of them good. But enjoy your political fan fiction. It's quite humorous. Yeah, I'm going to go with no. I'm going to mix it up and go with no. Colin, what's your vote? You bailed before I was about to ask you.
I think yes, because I think if Trump offers, Elon would take it for vanity reasons.
Oh, I think he'd take it. I don't know if it's going to be offered.
I think Trump will, just because it's that billionaire club, and he's got the Twitter platform, which, well, I guess Trump doesn't use that. So like
he was offered to come back and he didn't take it.
Yeah,
like they offered. He was like, "You can come back," and Trump was saying, "No."
Well, Twitter's bringing back porn, so maybe he'll come back now.
When did porn actually leave Twitter? Is my question.
I don't know. I'm not on Twitter, but I'll watch my wife scroll.
Why you got off
every time? Yeah, I got off when Elon bought it.
Oh, look at you!
But no matter what she clicks on, there's always porn on it. So I don't know when that went away.
Oh yeah, no, it's been completely flooded now. I mean, you look at. I mean, I'm always like not. Sometimes I don't even look at my replies because it's just ridiculous stuff. But I will look at it
now.
Oh, see, for me, I get a bunch of spam porn in my replies now. Like I'll just get a bunch of like porn bots in my replies. It's so sad what he did to that website. To that, I mean, and by the way, Twitter before Musk was not perfect. It had a lot of problems. But the thing with Elon Musk, all the problems Twitter had, he did not solve. He made them all worse. And then he came up with some new problems that weren't there before. So he didn't solve any problems. He just made it a million times worse. But yeah, anyway. Well, thank you for the poll results, Colin. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you to Tony D. Thank you to Des Bush Flies. Thank you to Dave L. Thank you to Chris Garrett. And of course, over on the Rockfin, thank you to Greg, and thank you to Pat Anderson. Thank you guys very much for your contributions. Again, June 8th, Idlewild, California, the final domestic screening of Left at Wall. You can get tickets and information at romplacone.com. Idlewild is a really cool mountain town near Los Angeles. So if you're anywhere in SoCal and you don't have plans this Saturday night, romplacone.com for tickets. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Again, members call at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern this Thursday. And if you're not a member yet, you can join over at statuscoup.com/join, and you're helping keep independent journalism alive and well. This is Ron Placone for Status Coup, signing out.